It's been a minute. Um, I'm not really going to go into what I've been up to these last 3 months. I'll do that in another video. But this video is um, for what went down yesterday. And it was an important day. And a lot of my thoughts got validated. And I wanted to share it with you guys. Um, Up until this point, I've had a really kind of conviction in my heart, my bones, my soul about what went down. A lot of things fell into place and led me to an understanding of um, that day that John took his life. And I've been working with a lot of nurses to uncover and research, and it kind of brought me to yesterday. And so let's talk about it. So, yeah, the last week or so, 2 weeks, I've been getting a lot of text messages, emails, phone calls on John's phone from his doctor's office, asking if they can confirm an appointment for him. And I just kind of ignored it. And one of my BA personalities, the feistier one, was like, you know what? I'll take that. And I confirmed it and then spent the next couple days in total anxiety. My stomach was killing me. I just, I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? And unlike me, I decided not to really overthink it, which is not me. But for the 2 days leading up to that, I did a pretty good job of not doing that. Now, the night before, I didn't sleep at all. But the next morning for the meeting, I got dressed. I probably had 3 hours sleep. That was the night of all the storms. And I wore his Japanese touring shirt. I wore his, the last shirt that I saw him in, the blue button down. And then I wore his watch. I took his keys and his knife and his wallet, and I put them in his jacket, and I took his jacket. So he was there with me. So I plugged in the address to his visit. Of course, John McKnight had that 9:15 in the morning visit, so that had me up at 8:30. And I went to the address and I searched for the studio. I was there 5 minutes early. Not the studio, the suite, the doctor's suite. And it was the wrong address. I should have been in Holly Springs. So I looked at the watch and I'm like, okay, well, I can still make the appointment on time. So I drove to Holly Springs. I was a freaking wreck. All my nerves, my game plan, everything went right out the window. So I got there and I stepped up to the desk right at 9:30, which is when my appointment was. And they wanted you there at 9:15 early, of course, to do the billing. And so I got there and stepped up to the desk and handed them the ID and his insurance card. And I calmly said, my name is Beth Ann Gehring. I am John McKnight's significant other. I'm also his emergency contact. He will not be with us today, and I would like to take his appointment and to speak to his doctor. And you could have heard a pen drop. They were all like, well, okay. So they took the information, and the girl, after a couple minutes, was like, well, I don't know how to bill this. And I was just like, not my problem. And so she said, okay, well, give me a minute. She calls another lady out there. And the other lady, they sat there for, I don't know, probably 10 minutes. And the lady was like, well, we have no way of billing this. And so, you can't see the doctor unless John's here. And I'm like, well, John is no longer with us. He has passed. and I would like 5 minutes to talk to his doctor. And she's like, oh, okay, hold on a minute. So she went to the back, and I don't know, 20 minutes later, I'm sitting there watching this whole billing churning thing going on in the office. And she comes out and she's like, look, I understand that you want to see the doctor. She's like, but we don't have any way of billing this. So, if you want, you can become a patient and take John's appointment. It is now like 30 minutes past his appointment time. His appointment time's long gone. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be this man's patient. So I said to her, yeah, that's not going to happen. I said, let me get this right. My husband is dead. I want 5 minutes to talk to the doctor about his prescriptions. I said, and I can't do that. I can't take my husband's appointment that he made and do that. And she's like, well, hold on a minute. We'll be right back. Okay. So the whole thing, 36 minutes later, they finally decide that the compassionate thing to do is to take me back. So as I'm walking back there, she's like, well, I had to get the doctor's permission. I hope you understand. And, we're really busy today. And, if you could just keep this short, like, 5 minutes or so. I could not believe that. I was just like, okay, I can do that. I didn't even say anything because I did not want to betray me. So we walk in there, and the doctor comes in after 6 minutes. I handed him a death certificate, and I told him John took his life on February and shot himself. And many of you know, I have already done my research. I have already what I think, but I didn't want to let the guy know. And so I said, I am here because I do not understand. I do not understand how this could happen. You know John. We were very happy. We were very much in love. We didn't have monetary problems. We were really had just gotten the lottery ticket, had our house redone, had it up for sale, and we were waiting to get to the finish line. I mean, it was going to happen. Our happily ever after was going to happen. And I said, I'm at a loss as to how this could happen, and I'm here for answers. And I want to ask you, is there any way that his medications could have done this? Are you aware of the side effects of his medications? Like, help me find some answers. And he's like, well, he's like, I do know John. He's like, I saw him on the books, and this comes as a shock to me because, I was really happy to see him. John's always very positive, very upbeat, always has a joke. And I'm like, yeah, it is quite a shock. And I'm glad you recognize that in him because he was not depressed. And he was looking forward to his future. And the doctor was like, yeah, I get that. And he's looking up his meds, and he's like, no, he's on, just the normal diabetic medicine. It's pretty generic. It's across the boards. And I said, well, are you aware of any side effects? Like, do you know what the side effects are of it? He's like, no, I don't know what the side effects are, but, statistically speaking, these drugs have no problem with patients. And I'm like, well, I have done some research and I have looked into it. And, I got to ask you, so you don't ask them when your patients come in, you don't have some sort of form that says, are you experiencing night sweats? Are you experiencing change of body odor, unexplained muscle cramping? Are you having strange bouts of anger or depression or, any number of the things that John had been experiencing? And he's like, well, no. And I said, well, he was experiencing all those things. And all of those things are side effects of the medicines that he was taking. And I said, I went out there and I looked at Jardiance and the side effects for Jardiance. And I am appalled. I'm appalled that that prescription gets filled from anybody. If anybody read that, they would know not to take that. And he's like, well, Jardiance is, that's a very popular drug. They're using it for cardiovascular, for weight loss, for diabetes. He's like, statistically speaking. And I was just like, well, statistically speaking, how many people have to die before that's not a good drug? And I said, statistically speaking, how do you guys track the people that are on this drug that die because of the drug? Because as far as I'm concerned, what I've just seen is it gets swept under the rug as a mental health thing, as a depression thing. And you've just admitted that you never thought he was depressed, that he was suicidal. I mean, I think the blood just ran cold in my veins because this doctor had no idea of the side effects of the drug. He was not monitoring the drug. He was just going on statistics. So I said to him, you've just admitted that you're unaware of the side effects of the drugs that you prescribe. You've just admitted that you don't monitor said side effects. I said, it is my hope today that you make changes. I said, I realize that we cannot change the world of healthcare. I just want to change my world. And I want to change your world. And I want to change the world of your patients. And I'd love it if you started to realize what the side effects of the crap that you are prescribing to people. I would love it if you would implement a checklist when you do said prescriptions, and every person that comes through that door has to answer, no, I'm not having hot flashes. I'm not having night sweats. I'm not having changes in my body odor or muscle cramping or any of the other things that denote ketoacidosis in your system, because that's what he was suffering from. Not depression, not suicidal tendencies, not mental health. The mental health issues were brought on by the hormonal changes of this drug. So I don't know. I hope he heard me. I know he was in shock. And I just closed up with his mother and myself and a handful of other people hold you accountable for the loss of this man's life. You are the first level of this problem. You're prescribing stuff that you know nothing about. You talked to somebody who came to you and wanted off these drugs and said to them, you're diabetic, you'll be on this medicine for life. And that's a lie. And that also caused John to stop talking to you. You're the doctor. You have to ask these questions. You can't let your patient walk in through the door and say, hey man, how you doing? You doing okay? That's how a neighbor talks to a neighbor. That's how a friend talks to a friend. That's not how doctors should talk to their patients. Doctors should know what they're prescribing. Doctors should know what the side effects are. Doctors should be asking, are you feeling this? Are you experiencing this? If you think your doctors care about your health, you're wrong. You have to be vigilant in the medicines that you take. I'm not saying don't take medicine. I'm saying you have to be aware of what you're taking. You have to be vigilant in looking out for what's happening in your body after you take this. It may not be a week after you, it may not be a month, it could be 6 months. But when you start experiencing things, write it down, keep a journal, take it to your doctor. And if you have a doctor that doesn't listen to you or shuts you down, find another doctor and listen to your loved ones, the people that are supporting you, your spouse, your significant other, family members. If they come to you and say, hey man, I'm noticing this about you, they're not making things up. They love you. They're not here to make your life harder. So I left his office, and I hope he heard what I said, because I'll also be sending him a summary packet next week with the whole thing about what Jardiance is all about. Like I said, if you're on that drug, I just talked to a nurse who was like, she talked to a cardiologist who's refusing to put anybody else on that drug. I've talked to other diabetic patients whose doctors have refused to put them on that drug. It's no joke. These medicines are no joke. This long list of side effects on these drugs is no joke. That's called covering your ass. That's how they all cover their ass when this shit comes up. Anyways, thank you for your time. If you made it to the end of this, I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you later.